Good afternoon and welcome back to My Harlem Portraits, the show that aims at shedding the light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country and on Black excellence. To represent Black excellence in the utmost way, we have a special guest today who is a Tony, Emmy nominated and multi-awards winner, stage, TV, and film multidisciplinary artist who's currently starring at Sammy Davis Jr. in the highly acclaimed and awarded Lights Out, NAT King Cole, played by Dule Hill, a play with music, co-written by artistic director PATRICIA McGregor, and Tony and Academy Awards nominee Colman DOMINGO. Wow. Running at New York Theater Workshop till June 29. Welcome to My Harlem Portraits to Daniel J. Watts. Thank
Hi.
you for being with us, Daniel.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You are a very eclectic artist, writer, poet, rapper, dancer, singer, actor, director, and NYU professor. I've seen you on stage in, as I was saying before, in Refuge Play and in a couple of other things, and I think you are fantastic. I follow you online contents, and I believe the depth of your socio-political engagement and the profound humanity and the quality of your work are really exceptional. For me, you are a genius, and therefore, I'm really very honored that you found the time to be with us because you are rehearsing and playing and rehearsing and playing. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Very sweet.
The first question I'm going to ask you before starting to say some of the things you've done is, according to me, you have been able to find yourself. So how have you been able to find and be yourself in this sometimes pretty chaotic and unstable, yet very bewildering and fascinating world of the show business?
Oh, wow. That's a very good question. I think it starts with having a mother who always encouraged my curiosity. Whether it was basketball, baseball, gymnastics, dance, music, she was always, with limits, with limits, but but my mom, like she says, she led from behind.
Yeah.
So, more so with the hand on the shoulder, kind of like, following me, but kind of guiding me as I was going. So it just she allowed me to play, and I think this, it's show business. You have to learn, there's a lot of show play, but this is show business, and understanding how to navigate the business of it all while, trying to express yourself as an artist can be difficult. But the pandemic helped in a lot of ways too. I found more about myself in the pandemic, just when I had the time, when the whole world shut down and I didn't feel like I was on pace with anybody. I could kind of just sit and reflect. So yeah, those two things specifically.
I think the pandemic, in a sense, helped few people. Like I learned to do the Zoom interviews and I learned how to edit the interviews during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Studios were closed, so I couldn't go to the studios.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to your incredible career. You have performed 5 times at the Tony Awards. Wow. You star in 10 iconic Broadway shows, including Tina as Ike Turner, and you were nominated for a Tony for Best Performance and won an Outer Circle Award for Outstanding Feature as Ike Turner. Hamilton, you were Samuel Seabury. Freestyle Love Supreme, After Midnight, that was amazing. Motown was incredible. In the Heights, I saw that too, wonderful. Memphis, The Little Mermaid, and The Color Purple, another iconic shows. I mean, all of these shows are incredible. Off Broadway, In 2024, you were in what we mentioned before, the Refuge Plays, which was epical, magical, which was nominated for 8 Adelco Awards, and you won the Adelco Awards as lead actor. Then we had Richard III at the Delacorte, The Last of the Love Letters, The Death of the Last Black Man in the Whole Entire World, Signature Theater, World Inside the Loop, and regional. That's something you talk a lot in your social. That's why I wanted to mention it. Three Summers of Lincoln. I think you also wrote it, right?
Co-lyricist and a choreographer on it, yes.
In 2021, you presented your original work, The Jam Only Child, a one-man show directed by one of my favorite directors, Ileana Blaine Cruz. Amazing, at the Public Theater. Film, Sylvie's Love, scene from Sweet Lorraine, where you were performing at James Baldwin. And in 2016, you wrote and performed in Had She Never Asked Me. That's also something important to talk about. TV, and then we finish. Werewolf by Night, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I followed everything. I love that. I love that. I was hooked to that. The Last OJ, Vinyl, The Deuce, Boardwalk Empire, Blind Spot, Blue Bloods. In 2024, so recently, you are in the HBO series Penguin alongside Colin Farrell, which is the follow-up of the Batman epic saga. And now you are in season 6 of the Paramount Plus acclaimed series, The Chi. You're not such a nice guy in that,
Not,
that
yes,
thing.
not yet.
Tell me of all these, the moments, the shows that meant more for you or that meant for you that was a turning point, and those moments that were most challenging for you.
Oh wow. I think my debut in The Color Purple was the first. You know, I moved to New York. I'd been here about 9 months, and I was making my Broadway debut, and I couldn't fathom it. You know, I think I'd recently met a man in a previous show who had made his Broadway debut at 40. So I think I just wrapped my head around the fact that, oh, I won't. Broadway is a thing that, you know, you just work and work and work, and maybe one day you'll get there. I was 24 at the time, so I moved to New York, and I was in The Color Purple, and it was an incredible experience. I'll never forget it. It was like a family also.
Mm.
And you know, beautiful people. LaShawn's is incredible. You know, I got the tail end of the original company before everybody started scattering. And yeah, it was really a definitive time. It helped me feel like I had arrived in New York. And then with TV film, wow, I think probably The Shy has probably been the most influential in terms of like I we're in season 7 now, you know, and to have such a pivotal role, the way they've set it up, I can't tell you too much about season 7, just starting. But yeah, you know, to be so fully integrated into the company, into the series, I've never had anything like this before, so this is very exciting. I think the challenging part is just doing it. You know, bouncing back and forth between theater and film and writing and being an artist. You know, it's in many ways it's fun, you know, but I'm learning to juggle less. And you know, TV requires a certain kind of schedule, theater requires a totally different kind of schedule, and you know, navigating, being able to bounce back and forth between the two, while also feeding my own artistic ventures, that's the challenging part these days. I'm learning that, you know, I can't do everything, you know, as much as I want to. I can't do everything all the time.
You feel inside you can't say no to anything because you always feel that you're gonna miss on something, but then you're driving yourself crazy, right?
Yeah, you got to say no. You do.
It's very difficult to learn to say no. Very, very difficult. Okay, let's come to Lights Out, which is now finally playing in New York City. What made you say yes to this project from the beginning? And how do you prepare to embody such an icon as Sammy Davis Jr.?
In all honesty, I was terrified. I said no first. Sammy Davis Jr. has been one of my idols since I was 6. And I've devoured everything, and not there's so much, not everything, but I've devoured as much as I possibly could
Yeah.
about him, while also just he's kind of been like a North Star of mine. So when Patricia and Colman reached out about this project, I was no, I don't think anybody should play Sammy Davis Jr. just because I hold him in such high regard, and he's so multifaceted.
Like you.
Thank you. Right, and that's what I had to lean into. Patricia has been this is Lights Out was technically our first thing we worked on together, but since then it's been Last of the Love Letters and Refuge Plays. So we have a rapport. She's really good at digging deep and pulling things out of me that I might either be afraid to do or not think I have the energy to do, or she's really good. She's really nurturing in that way. So that helped. That helped a lot. Colman, the way he and Patricia wrote the role, it's Sammy is showing up as a figment of Nat King Cole's imagination. He's in his psyche, in his mind. So that gives it a little bit of leeway, right? I don't have to be Sammy. I can kind of give him a little bit of quirk, a little bit of me, while still helping to tell the story. But no, it's a lot of preparation. It's warming up. It's looking at footage. It's taking care of my body. Allowing myself to really channel Sammy. That's my buddy.
Wow, it is incredible. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen just little, little B-rolls and so on, but I can't wait to see it. I'm going to see it next week. I can't
I
wait.
can't wait. I'm excited for you.
I can't wait to see this. Can you guide us a little bit into the play and the relationship between these two icons as it is shown in the play? And
Sure. So,
what does the lights out, the title, what does that mean?
Lights Out. Okay, so Lights Out, Nat King Cole. It's a little bit of play on Nat's final show. When he was on NBC, he was the first African American to host a variety show.
Yeah.
And he faced a lot of challenges, a lot of hardships. They used to powder his face to make him lighter. And he couldn't get a national sponsor because sponsors or Madison Avenue was afraid of that the South wouldn't receive it.
Yeah.
So they ended up pulling the plug on it. Nat was spending a lot of money on it, trying to keep it afloat. And he eventually decided to just pull the plug himself. And he wrote an article about it saying that Madison Avenue is afraid of the dark. And so we kind of, they took that and kind of decided, this is Lights Out. The lights are going down on Nat King Cole, his final show. And so that's where our story picks up. It's the final show. It's places. He's waiting on a celebrity guest to show up to like help close the show out. She hasn't shown up yet. And he starts to go into his mind. He starts to think about how the show might go. And Sammy shows up to kind of get him to say what's really on his mind. Kind of his shadow self. It's like, hey, there's something you're not saying, and it helps to see the cost of what it is to be an icon and a first at something. And the toll that it takes on artists and their artistry, when they're suppressing so much, what does it take on, Nat died at 45.
Oh my God,
very young.
No, he died so young. Oh.
Very young, and he built Capitol Records in a very, very short time, but just the stress and the cigarettes and it all added up. So this is just an opportunity to give him a little bit more humanity, to show the relationship between he and Sammy Davis Jr. They were like brothers. They really, really loved each other. When Nat passed away, Sammy took it very hard, and eventually ended up recording an album. Sammy Davis Jr. sings the Nat King Cole song. And that was kind of his way of grieving and saying goodbye to his friend. So this kind of just gives us an opportunity to kind of see how they play against each other.
That is fantastic. I'm getting even more excited to see and this happened in 1957, right? This
Yeah.
the last thing. So it's good to place that.
Yes.
I met Natalie Cole in Milan, in Italy. She was
What?
performing there, yes. And I went backstage, and she was so wonderful. We talked for about maybe 20 minutes, which
Oh,
is
cool.
pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That was many years ago, but not so long before, she then recorded the album with her father, who had already passed.
Hmm.
Fantastic.
Wow. That's iconic. Wow.
Amazing person. I really got emotional when she was
Yeah.
passed. Yeah. Can you give us some inside looks into the show? Because the show is you're dancing, you're tap dancing, you're singing, you are Sammy Davis Jr.
All of it.
Nat King Cole. So tell us a little bit how you prepare for this, you and Dule.
Oh man, so Dule and I, we tap dance every day before the show just to like get in the groove. We just, there's a tap dance in the show. We run that as well, but we also it's just he and I just kind of like we just trade bars as we call it back and forth. Just to like, just to lock in and get centered. We both have our own separate like warm-up practices. Dule is there's a black box inside the theater. He's in there doing yoga and his whole thing. I'm doing calisthenics and something over here on the stage. And then we meet to put the tap shoes on. But I've known Dule since 2013. I want to say we did After Midnight together.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and he became like a big brother to me. I would always ask him advice about the TV business. I was still very much only in theater. And I was making my transition. And he was just always really really cool. So when this project came up, I gave him a call. I said, "Hey, you doing this Nat King Cole thing?" He was like, "Yeah, let's see what it is. Let's check it out." So all right, and just every step of the way, he's just been the most gracious human being. Like our relationship is very similar to Nat and Sammy. He's big brother, already established, doing his thing, and I'm kind of like eager and excited coming up behind him. And it really plays. It really the contrast between us. He's an incredible scene partner. He's an incredible actor. He's so gracious. That's the best word I can give. Like he's just so gracious. He's always thinking about everyone else. And very much like Nat did, and he wants to make sure that everyone has a great time, that everyone's comfortable as they can be, while also very interested in pushing the envelope. How can we tell this story? How can we dig deeper into this story and really humanize Nat, and show the cost that he paid for us? There's no, Sammy and Nat, they both kicked the door, and so Dule and I
Yeah.
could move the way that we do. So it means a lot. It's an honor to portray these men, and tell these stories.
It's these were two icons, famous all over the world. People who broke down barriers continuously, one after the next, and being very outspoken about that.
Mm-hmm.
Although Nat was more,
A little more reserved.
yeah,
Yes.
more reserved.
Sammy was loud.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm living in Harlem now is when I saw Malcolm X, I read the autobiography,
Yeah.
I saw the Cotton Club and all the
Uh-huh.
rehearsals and the things at the Cotton Club. Those
Yes.
stayed in my mind, and that's what made me come to Harlem
Wow.
and
That,
live
that's what
here.
that's what made me come to Harlem.
See?
those exact same things. Absolutely.
You live in
Absolutely.
Harlem
I
also?
live in Harlem. Yes.
Oh, we are neighbors.
Yes,
I'm
we are. That's
fantastic. So, what is the challenges of doing this and the rewarding part of this, of what you just said, the relationship and the play in itself, and the relationship with also all the other member in the cast?
Ruby Lewis and is the only other person that's done this show before. Everyone else is new.
Mhm.
So we are, it's getting everyone else on board since we've done it at the Geffen. And even that, that was in 2019. So like the world has changed. We're all older, everything's different. So how do we bring something that we started pre-pandemic into a post-pandemic theatrical space. And again, continue to unfold and unlock the different intricacies of this show, while also what used to be very subversive before 2020 is now very blatant. So we, some things we just, we just say it, we just cut right to it. We get to the racism of it all. We get to the inequality of it all. We really break it down, and everyone has jumped right on board. The entire company, Elliot, Kathy, Chris. We have incredible swings. Crystal, we have incredible swings who joined. People have had to go on last minute. It's a lot of camaraderie, and it requires it, and everyone knows it. And Patricia creates a room that's very, very beautiful. We start with I am, I want, I need, I feel every day, just kind of a check-in. You say I am, whatever, I want, whatever, I need, whatever, I feel, whatever, just so we can all understand what we all are and how to operate from there. So kind of it works from the top down. But everyone really embraces their role. There's a lot of great craftsmanship happening on the stage, and we love each other. We really do.
It's a fantastic thing. When you can create this at work and you're spending hours and hours every day there, it's fundamental. Otherwise, it's a nightmare if it's not like that. What is the message that the public, we should walk away with from seeing this show?
Oh, that there's a line that we say, there's no time for easy anymore, and I think, just, you can look at it two ways. We're living in unprecedented times, and we're also living in the times that have always existed, and I think it's easy to just lull yourself back to sleep after, when after a hard conversation or after, a hard political time, it's like, no. You got to keep pushing forward. Like these were people who, Eartha Kitt, Sammy Davis Jr., Nat King Cole, these were people who were very heavily influenced in the civil rights movement. Eartha Kitt got blackballed because people thought she was a communist. This was a time when, it was heavy politically, and people were afraid, and these people were not afraid, and it was a lot less liberal time. So if they could do it then, it's our job. It's our job to, put our foot on the gas. Patricia and Colman say that, we infuse dynamite with the sugar. Sometimes, some things can be sweet, but there's a little dynamite in there too. And that's really the main message. It's like, don't get lulled back to sleep. Don't gloss over. What was the saying in New York? You see something, say something. It's that. It's see something. You see something, say something. It's that time. We don't have time for easy anymore.
No,
it's gonna get hard. It's gonna get difficult, and we got to push through. But we wish you love. There's a Nat King Cole song. I was like, we wish you love, and as we do it, if you can't do this, if you can't join me on this trip, I wish you love. I wish you peace. I have to go this way.
Yeah.
Hopefully our paths will cross again. But it's time to get into it. And if you can't get to it, then maybe this is where our paths diverge. But we wish you love.
It is the most difficult moment in my lifetime, I think.
Right now.
Socially, politically, really.
Yeah.
In this country.
Yeah, sure.
Especially, I mean, everywhere, but in this country especially. And it's, as you said, you cannot sleep. You cannot take a break, because in 1 second, things are going to be too late.
Not too late.
Can't take a break from this. This is happening. Too much is going on.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to young people who want to enter into the show business, who cannot do without it? They need to do that. What would you give them? What hurdles to avoid?
I know. I would say don't do it. No.
They have to.
You have to. No, I think that's something a lot of people don't quite understand, is that you have to do this because you love it.
Yeah.
Right. side note, I've been working on a piece about the soccer player Pelé and his career.
Yes.
And one thing I've learned, well, it made me ask a question. What happens when you become a slave to the thing that brought you freedom? And for many of us, when we get into the business aspect of it, like, again, this was something that we just love to do. Um, a lot of industries will take advantage of the fact that you love to do it and that you'll do it for free. And you really have to learn the business. You have to understand the business, how the business works, how to, it's just what it is. You have to brand yourself. You have to market yourself. You have to figure out how to set yourself apart. And you have to be your most authentic. And the way to do that is by being your most authentic self. Don't try to do what someone else is doing. Don't try to copy someone. Like, find who you are and be that to the fullest. And that is how you succeed in this business.
And this is what you did. That's what I feel. You found yourself.
I found myself. I did.
See? It comes out. It comes out from your acting. It comes out from what you do, the project you choose, the project you write, the path you've taken in your career. It shows that you know who you are and you want to represent that. And I think it's one of the most difficult things, actually, to know who you really are. So
it's hard. And I still struggle with it. I would love to say that I have it all nailed down. Like, no, I'm still figuring it out.
I mean, if we stop learning how to figure out things, then we're dead. So
Right.
this is what keeps you alive, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there is so much connection when you were talking about Pelé, and I saw it online. Pelé was so famous in Italy. Of course, he was playing for, I think it
Yeah.
was Juve, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
not much into.
Well, no, they want that. That's actually an interesting story. That's actually where I got that phrase from. He was is in 1961. He'd already won his World Cup. Uh, Italy, Juventus, and Inter Milan both reached out to him to get him to come play in Italy. And the president of Brazil was afraid that he was going to be the president that lost Pelé. So he had Congress pass a bill making him a non-exportable national treasure.
Pelé was Pelé.
Pelé was Pelé.
Pelé was Pelé. Anything you want to say, a message you want to give to the viewers, and why should they come and see this show?
Oh wow. Please come see this show. Please come see this show. Theater, we call it, it's limited edition. It's you never know. We don't know if we would love to transfer. We would love to transfer to Broadway, but we don't know. It's not guaranteed. So you have until June 29th, and this may not ever happen again. So come hear a story. I think what I love the most when people tell me afterwards is that this is a story they didn't know. Like, I didn't know this about Nat King Cole. I didn't know he went through these things. I didn't know about the relationship between him and Sammy Davis Jr. It encourages them to do more research. So come get your soul fed. Come get some sugar and some dynamite as you go into the summer. And yeah, just same. Nat did everything with love and grace. And so that's what we wish everybody. We wish everybody love, and we wish them grace in these unprecedented times and as they continue forward. But come on. New York Theater Workshop, nywt.org.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for
you.
giving us your time. Have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll see you at the theater.
Awesome. Thank you very
As
much. I'm
someone
looking
says.
forward.
I stole that.
I like it.
Okay.
See you soon.
Bye-bye, and thank you to our viewers. Next Saturday, 12:30 p.m. on Spectrum, channel 1993, and on my YouTube channel, My Harlem Portraits, for all the past episodes. Bye-bye.